So welcome to the second edition of the TTT Podcast. I'm presenting this podcast out in the field. I'm sat in Bushy Coombe beneath the oak at the bottom. I've got my coffee and my bum on the ground. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning. Lovely rays of sunlight coming through the greenery. Lovely old copper beach off to the right. It's a deep maroon colour, contrasted with the bright golden green of the oak leaves sat in front of it. Is quite beautiful. So I am going to present this podcast from outdoors. That might make it a little bit more improvised, kind of making it up as I go along a little bit. But hopefully that presents something a bit more organic and slow and, close to nature. It allows us to ground a little bit. That's what this process for me has been recently, coming out in the mornings and sitting here, getting into my body and on the ground. And down here is a little treasure trove. So I see a whole range of birds down here. It's a bustling city of birds down here. There's dunnocks that feed in the mud down here. Your robin, who comes to sit down in amongst the grasses here and pick out worms. That one likes to sing his little heart out. And she comes down and sits and picks worms out of the mud. And robins, very cute little birds, but they're beasts. They're actually microcosmic beasts. If you've ever seen them dealing with a worm, it's quite dramatic scene. Kind of reminds me of killer whales with seals, It's that kind of, almost like it's playing with its food and taking some joy in their mini monsters. So then you got wrens darting about from branch to branch, or making their presence known very vocally, normally in the direction of another wren. Wrens are so funny, their little tails twitch, stand straight up and twitch, and their whole body goes into making this noise. Their beaks are like scissored apart and screeching. I can only imagine that, from a small thing's point of view, having this belting its way towards you through the sky, screaming like that, is like some otherworldly, like poltergeist that just comes out of nowhere. And little wrens. I've also seen plenty of woodpeckers down here. There's tree creepers, blue tit, great tit, coal tit, long-tailed tit. I've seen goldfinches fighting in the bush, 2 feet away from me. Completely oblivious. I love the colours of the goldfinches. Really beautiful. Blackbirds and crows up in the trees as well. And that was a nice little introduction, wasn't it? I think what I'll do now is introduce you to a little story that I've written, very short story. This is also about the Coombe. This is basically where I spent most of my last 2 weeks, a lot of time during the last month. So this is a story about the badgers of Bushy Coombe. It's called The Badgers of Bushy Coombe. I hope you enjoy it. The pathways roll out across the Coombe like mini adventures, awaiting the roving paws of their nighttime walkers. Pads, as they are known, provide the badgers with a map of territorial boundaries and routes to foraging grounds, and the badgers plot sure paths confirmed in scent and padded nightly for decades by the ancestors of the bushy coon clan. I follow one such pathway. It leads me towards a grand oak on a steep embankment, surrounded by a thicket of mixed undergrowth and young trees. The oak is the badger's doorway to the underworld. Their set is dug into the hill, and the downward-reaching roots of the oak form dramatic pillars on each side of the entrance. The trunk towers above, marking the portal to an immense badger palace. The main tunnel rises from darkness into the semi-light of woodland, a kind of intermediate patch between the badger home and open coombe. The primary path splays into 3 secondary trails. The most well-trodden leads down the hill, snaking gently through the meadow towards the brook at the bottom of the coombe, where it disappears behind an old willow. Other paths lead to other places of importance for the badgers. Good foraging, a place to roll around. Perhaps one of these tracks leads to the grove, where the creatures hold council in the night. Observing the lines as they stretch out across the coombe like far-reaching abstract art pieces on the landscape, one is beckoned into the world of badger. My perception is lowered to creature altitude as I am coaxed along their intimate trails, effortlessly gliding through the little grass mumps. I am no longer travelling on foot, but by paw. The grass verging on each side, allowing for swift, stealthy crossing from one side of the coombe to my favourite spot, under the oak, down by the brook. I am yet to spot a bushy coon badger. I can only imagine them emerging from their sets at dusk and shuffling down the hill towards their brambled gateway. Furry heroes embarking on mini adventures. And these paths are the imprinted memories of the wise badger ancestors. They are ancient maps laying unchanged for decades and to guide the badgers for many generations to come. So that was the Badgers of Bushy Coombe, a story I wrote recently, short story, a work in progress. As always, I like to think of these stories as kind of as like more of developing thoughts than stories set in stone. It might evolve into something else and have new little trails that pop off of it and explore other things. I hope you enjoyed that. So now I will do a little descriptive tree ID challenge for you. So I'll approach a tree from a distance and describe it, and get closer and closer and describe what I see as I get closer, and hopefully the clues that I give will allow you to identify that tree without even seeing it. This is a nice little challenge for me to describe and use to develop my descriptive language of nature, but also a nice challenge for you to kind of picture what I'm describing and hopefully get a positive tree ID. So here goes. Okay, so the tree that I'm looking at is a medium-sized tree. I'm currently stood at a distance, and the tree is in a woods surrounded by other trees. As I move closer, I can kind of start to see that the bark is like a brown colour, very lightly grained, almost smooth. And then as I get a little bit closer here, I can see that its fresh leaves are coming out, and they're kind of a reddy brown colour, turning to green. There's like a gradient from red to green. Okay, these leaves are of a pinnate compound structure, so that means that they are leaves made up of many leaflets, oppositely branched leaflets with one terminal leaf on the end. So the next clue is that the tree is a monoecious tree. That means that both male and female flowers appear on the same tree. Okay, I can see some male flowers at the moment, and they are long catkins. Look like little caterpillars, quite thick. As I get closer in here, I can rustle around and find female flowers, and they are, I can see, lovely little nubbins, tiny little catkins that point upwards in clusters. Can't really call them catkins, and they're yellow and bristled. Okay, so far we've got a medium-sized tree. The bark is lightly grained and brown. The leaves are just emerging, and they have a kind of maroon red to green, and they will turn green. They're a pinnate structure, so they have leaflets. This is a monoecious tree, so it has male and female flowers on the same tree. The male flowers are long fat catkins, and there's some out now. And then the female flowers are shorter, stubbier little flowers, the yellow, and forming clusters pointing upwards. And they have little bristles on them, like little gems. So now the last three clues should start to, if you haven't got it already, should start to give you more firm ideas. So this tree, when it's mature, the bark turns to a whitish grey colour. And I've seen them become more defined in their graining, in their fissures. Whitey grey colour to the bark when the tree is old. This is an uncommon, non-native tree, so it's come from another country. It's sometimes found in woodland, but mostly it's a planted tree. And then finally, this tree produces nuts. The female flowers will, throughout the summer, develop into large round nuts, and they'll be fully mature by kind of September, autumn time. So there you go, that was 10 clues that should build up a picture of what this tree is. It's one of my favourite trees to look at, especially the mature ones. They're really beautiful, especially the white colour, they're kind of ghostly. So if you think that you've got a good guess on that, then send your answer to matt@tothetrees.co.uk, and I'll let you know whether you were correct. So hopefully you all got that. That was quite fun for me. So that brings this month's podcast to a close. I'll leave you with a song that I wrote recently and recorded last week. It's a song called Perfect Timing. I'll see you next time for the next To The Trees podcast.
The light is cold, the night is old, the mist is here. The dawn is near, she waits to hear us call her name. By touch was told a story old, by trees of mystic rhyming, met on the fold beyond the old, the tale of two souls diving. we laughed, we loved and we hurt, and we danced around in the dirt, and we sang and everyone sighed. We sang for all those who came before us. The end is a light. The sky is white, gone is the night, horizon clear, and the ancient love arising here, a golden sphere. And as darkness wanes, the day awakes to see those two uniting. The waters warm, a daughter is formed, a tale of perfect timing. We laughed, we loved and we hurt, and we danced around in the dirt, and we sang and everyone sighed. We sang for all those who came before us. The end is a light. The end is a light. The end is a light. We laughed, we loved and we hurt, and we danced around in the dirt, and we sang and everyone sighed. We sang for all those who came before us. The end is a light. The end is a light.